Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for the next one of my interview series where I have the amazing coach TK. Hey TK, who is all about the self-love and a lot of juicy stuff. So I am not going to butcher the introduction, and I am going to pass it over to you, Tequila, to just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. My name is Tequila and I go by Coach TK. And I am a self-proclaimed self-love and lifestyle coach. And what that is for me is I help women who maybe are struggling with identifying exactly who they are, sort of having lots of limiting beliefs around where they want to go, who they are, what they're capable of, and really looking at going on the journey of self-discovery, sort of a renewed sense of self in that process, because I do believe self-love is a journey. It's not, no one ever crosses the finish
Mm,
line. And
mm.
so that's like the super, super important fact that I help support my clients with, realizing that it's a journey and it's going to morph based on where you are and what you need. So no one's self-love journey is going to look exactly alike, right? It's going to be very
Mm,
different for everyone based on what they are, what their challenges are, what their strengths are, what their successes are. So we
mhm.
kind of have a holistic look at who you are, where you are, and sort of how I can best support you getting to the next level to being your most awesome, fabulous, authentic self.
Oh, oh yeah. I freaking love that. And I love what you said about how, like, the journey never ends. The journey constantly continues. And that's something that I actually learned from you, because we did a program together. And when I met you, I was like, this lady is so freaking confident. She is amazing. And if it hadn't been for the fact that, I was in the background with you and hearing some of your stories and challenges, I would never have thought that you're still going on that journey. So it's like, I think you're such a perfect example of the fact that you can live your best life, love yourself, and still be learning more about yourself and
Uh,
loving yourself.
Yes, it's so, so, so important to kind of stay in the what I like to call in the curiosity zone of like
Mm,
what's happening as life happens, sort of thinking like, okay, why is this happening to me? Or maybe why is this continuously happening to me? Because as you know, as you clear one thing, another thing presents itself, right?
mm-hmm.
So you think you got something down packed, like, oh, I'm good on this, I'm great. And then something else presents itself. So this is a part of the journey, right? And someone can be confident, super confident, and still have challenges. It's not
Mm,
one or the other. It's not all or nothing, right? No one is
mm.
perfect. No one, even if they want to tell you that they are, or show you on their IG that how perfect they are, right? But no one is. So
Mm,
knowing that as a fact, okay, so where are you and what do you need to work on? That's why it's such a personalized journey, because even if two people have the same sort of issue, right, they could be
mm,
struggling with the same thing. How they take or how they respond to support may be very different. So you have to be willing to kind of have tools, have strategies, and then have the flexibility to go with where the person needs to go, depending on what
mm,
they respond to. So that's what
mm,
I actually love most about coaching, because it's like it's dynamic, it's very
mm.
different for every person, but the core intention for any coach is to help that person, get to the point where they have lots of breakthroughs, lots of self-discoveries, and the confidence knowing that they can actually move forward and have those successes. And this is, with support, of course, but they have to take kind of the bull by the horns in order to make that happen.
Mm, I love that. Take the bull by the horns and just get on it. Just
Yeah, let's get
ride
it.
on
Let's
that bull.
go. Let's go.
That kind of scares me. It reminds me of a time when I was in Dallas and I was riding on one of those mechanical bulls. Like, I've always wanted to do it, and this was the first time I had done it. And I was like, please go really, really slow for me. I was so scared. And then after a little bit, I was like, turn that thing all the way. And of course I fell over, but
Yeah, but
random
that's the fun.
story.
Yeah,
that had
that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah, that's true. Random story that had nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Oh,
Cool.
I love
So
random stories.
thank you. So tell us a little bit about why you decided to go into this, this specific work.
Um, I- a few reasons. Pretty much growing up, I didn't have a lot of self-confidence in myself. Like I remember as a child, kind of feeling like I was like invisible. And for many different reasons, I'm one of seven. And I'm the second oldest. And my older sister, she was just kind of this light star. I don't know. And so she had like all the energy and effort of everyone, like when she was born. And then I came along and, I didn't necessarily, and you think like, how can you know, like as like maybe a 4-year-old or 5-year-old that you didn't have a light, but it was just like the way maybe my dad responded to her. She was always kind of daddy's little girl, and she still is. And so it's like, and then my sister's nickname was Pretty Black. She's dark skinned, and everybody called her Pretty Black. And
Oh, wow.
I mean, don't get me started on for a dark skinned girl, you pretty. Don't get me started on that. But everybody used to call her that. That was her nickname. And I wanted a nickname so bad, nothing ever took. Nothing ever took. But I'm not as dark as like two of my sisters. And so I'm like this in between complexion of my parents. And so I thought like something was wrong with me. Like, cause I wasn't light, a little bit lighter like my mom, and I wasn't dark like my dad. So I didn't feel like I belong. I know as I say it, doesn't sound good. It just sounds ridiculous.
It
But
sounds
that's like,
real.
yeah, but as a little girl, I was like, what's wrong with me? And then how kids would respond to me in school. I was very tiny. I was tiny for a very long time. I had like growth spurts very late in life. So I was like super small. My sister was super tall. And so she would like fight people for me. She would have me fight people like who were
Oh,
trying to
wow.
bully. And yeah, so it was like so many levels of things happening when I was young. And then when I became like maybe around mid-teens, like from middle school into early high school, and I was teased, kids tease. I was teased because of my name. I was called so many different names. I was called Tequila. I was called Cal. It's like so many different names, and it's like stupid. It's like it affects you when you're that young.
Mm, mm.
And so what I realized with all of this stuff happening outside of me, that I needed to like kind of build up myself. Like, so at first I just was like, I'm going to be strong, and I'm not going to let anybody see me like fold or cry, or I'm going to challenge them. I'm going to step up to them before they step up to me. And so that sort of attitude had me in a lot of fights, had me in a lot of confrontations, but I felt that like fight or flight, like I got to do them before they do me sort of mentality. And so I
Wow.
had this facade of confidence. So the way that other people see you is how you start to internalize and react. So because people saw confidence, right? When they saw
Mm-hmm.
me, I got less, like I didn't get bothered. People stopped picking on me. People wanted to like be my friend. Maybe they were afraid. I don't know. But because I gave off this air of like, I'm here. If you have something to say, we got a problem. Like I came with that energy, even though I was so scared. And so from that, I started to like actually make friends, and started to see that like my inner sort of space is the most important thing. Like what I'm giving off to people is more important than how I look, what I'm wearing, because all that stuff didn't matter anymore, because I was giving them tequila. I was giving them tequila. And if you liked it, great. If you didn't like it, kick rocks. And so that's what
Wow.
like kind of worked for me. And then I just started to hone that as time went along. Like I wouldn't just accept whatever people had to say or what people were doing around me. I started to build this sort of inner fortress, if you will, on, you know, actually not just portraying confidence, but living it. So that took a number of years to grow. As you become a teen, you go to college, you're a young adult, you're trying to figure all this stuff out. But the one thing I always from that time where I started to build that, I never like compromised on something that I didn't believe in. Like whatever I wanted to do, I did it. And that was how I navigated the world. If I didn't want to do it, I wasn't going to do it. And so
Oh,
I didn't
wow.
really think about like what impact I would have on others. And I think that is what kind of almost saved my life in some literal and figurative ways, because I was so like convicted on like living for me and doing what I wanted to do. And I didn't care about what everybody else had to say. And so that just stuck. That just stuck with me because it started to work for me. I started to
Wow.
get everything that I wanted because I was living for me and not for anybody else.
Oh,
So
wow.
I know that's a long story, but you
Thanks,
got the gist
thanks,
of it, I
thanks
think.
for not warning me that I might cry today. I was literally fighting back tears. That's amazing. That's such a story, and like it melts my heart that you managed to become who you are because of that. So it just goes to show that, we get battles and wars that we can fight that will make us stronger as long as we face them head on. And then another
Yes.
thing I got from your story was that you're a perfect example of fake it till you make it. The right
And
kind
there
of
are so
fake it
many
till you
people that
make
would
it.
tell you not to do that. There's so many books now and just people in the world are telling you don't fake it until you make it. Like there's so much evidence, but it worked for me. It worked for me,
Mm.
like putting up this armor and like going at it, and it helped me to actually until I was actually able to have confidence in myself.
I like that. I think, to be honest, now that you mentioned it, with the whole fake it till you make it thing, I know a lot of books and stuff are saying don't do it, but I think it depends on what. So, like when we talk about manifestation and they say fake it till you make it, people think, oh, I should get into credit card debt. I should buy the latest car and the latest shoes. It's
Yeah,
more the external fake it. But then what you
exactly.
just spoke about there is kind of like affirmations and just attitude of I got this. It's technically not faking it, it's doing it and seeing what result you'll get, because you could have gotten beaten up.
Yeah. Yeah, I got in a lot of fights growing up. Thankfully, I'm no longer in that space. I don't want to fight anybody. I'm a lover. I'm a lover,
Oh
not a fighter
man,
anymore.
I would have loved to see that.
Oh my goodness. I hope there's no video anywhere. Back then we didn't have smartphones, so there's no video anywhere. But I used to love it. Like
Oh
getting into a
wow.
fight. That was like the ultimate rush, but that was the environment that I grew up in. It's like you gotta fight. And because if you don't fight, they're gonna keep picking on you. They're gonna keep trying to take advantage of you. So even if you're deathly scared, you gotta handle your business. And so that's just what I grew up in. I didn't know any different until I got to
Mm,
see different, and then I chose otherwise.
amazing.
But
I
don't come
like
for
that.
me. Don't come for me. Go
Unless I
there.
send for you.
Don't come for me. I still got an older sister too who's ready to throw them things if I need her. All
I'm
my
so
sisters.
happy I have a gangster friend. I've
I'm
always
not
wanted one.
I'm not a gangster, but I got a lot of sisters and cousins. I'm just
I like
saying.
that.
They're ready. I gotta get ready. They're ready.
She ready? Okay, no, but jokes aside, so so how that's really like I love that story so much, and me and my hundreds of questions, but I'm gonna stay on track. So
Yeah.
my audience and the people that I work with, the big part of it is just giving you tools and showing you how to live in your truth and how sort of rewarding and beneficial it is. So in terms of self-love, self-confidence, and just owning your truth, like can you talk a bit about that link, like what self-love matters for owning your truth, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, self-love is embodying your truth, right? It's like for me, like I like to take people on the journey of like, as I mentioned, like really tapping into who they are, discovering who you are at the core, not the surface things, not the shiny things, that we get to see, but what are your core beliefs? What are your goals? Like, what do you see as your own strengths and challenges, right? And so as you go on that journey of really getting identifying who you are and where you are in the place of the world, like what you've done to manifest your life as it is now. Because you know, things happen in our lives and we don't like to take responsibility for the bad things, but we want to take all the credit for the good things, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
that's just not the way it works, right? You have to accept and allow it all, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. You had a part in it. Just, you know, and so accepting those hard truths along with the nice good stuff is where like I like to begin with clients and really making that connection, bridging that gap of saying it's okay. Like even if on the outside it's not what you want it to be, whatever aspect of your life, it is, accept where it is, and then let's work out how you're going to get to that next step or what goals you're going to set to get to where you'd like to be. And it all takes work. Nothing happens by osmosis except osmosis, right? But when it comes to self-love in your journey, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen if you listen to this interview and get all inspired and then take no action, right? It's not going to happen. So you got to be willing to put in the work to bridge that gap of self-love, being your best self, living in the most authentic way, your truth, all of that. It has to all like kind of come together in a nice little if I could describe it as like having different color Play-Doh, and I like hate putting the different colors together. My kids love putting all the colors and mixing together. It's kind of like that. You're taking all these different things and you're putting it together to make you the best you.
I feel like that should be the end of the interview. I'm just gonna pick up my mic and drop it.
Don't literally drop it. Okay.
That really was a mic drop moment, by the way. Okay, so here's a question then. So in terms of your clients that you work with, or just even sharing with people boundaries, you know, building boundaries for yourself, especially with the relationships that you already have, because people have that fear of self-love that they will lose the friendships they already have, or they will lose the relationships they have. So any tips in terms of building boundaries that will also strengthen that relationship rather than break it?
So this is kind of I'll try to keep it succinct. So building boundaries, that's like that's an inner work sort of thing. It doesn't really have anything to do with anybody else. It's kind of you knowing you knowing what you want, what you will accept and allow, and what you won't. And so, and then the key thing here is the commitment to those things that you say you want for yourself. Okay, so you can say all day you want X, Y, and Z, but if you're not committed to actually following through, it's not going to work. So establishing that commitment, that ironclad commitment to yourself and your goals and what you want and what you don't want, that's where you have to begin. Then the boundary work is going to be super easy, super simple. It's going to be you living in integrity, you following what you want, your hopes, your dreams, your likes, your dislikes. It's going to be super, super easy, super resonant, super integral, like because it's what you want and nobody else can dictate what that is. It sounds easy. It's very hard. I know how to explain it. It sounds easy. It's not.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because you're dealing with people, you're dealing with your mom, your dad, your cousin, your boyfriend, your husband, like you're dealing with all these people who may not be in alignment with where you're going. And so that can be a challenge. And something even with, you know, my husband, it's still like at our core, there are things non-negotiables, right? There's certain things that we just wholeheartedly see the same way. And it's like, it's fine. We believe the same thing and we're going in the same direction. But then there are certain things that we don't. And that doesn't mean that I don't love him or he doesn't love me or we need to get a divorce. No, it's like we have to figure out how to navigate around the things that we don't necessarily agree with. And it's not that we both need to work to bring the other person to the other side. It might just be that we don't see eye to eye on this issue, but we can still have an intelligent conversation. We can agree to disagree. We can argue and fight and get over it and be like, you just believe that and I'm believe this. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't always have to be like riding off into the sunset, right? And that's what boundaries are. Like, you're so convicted on what you believe and what you want for yourself, and not that you don't care, but maybe the way you communicate it, maybe you know that person is not ready to hear what you have to say or ready to experience this new way. And so maybe you don't communicate it at first. Maybe you drip feed, maybe you spend a little less time. You know, you got to figure out what's going to be best for you. I'm not going to say like, oh, you made a commitment, so don't do anything. Now, if it's something toxic and it's where you're being hurt physically, emotionally, mentally, then that's a different story. But if it's which most times it's connected to one of those, but you know, you have to play the situation by time. That's why it's good to have a coach and have someone who is kind of outside of the situation to be able to help you navigate that better. And so that you can slowly build up your confidence to having those ironclad boundaries that I talked about before. So it's a process, right? It's a journey, and you just got to be willing to just put one foot in front of the other. You know, we're in the world where, you know, you get instant gratification at every turn, right? You,
Oh,
you want
yeah.
to know, you want a new restaurant? Google, boom, you got a new restaurant to go try. You know, that's not how it works when it comes to personal development, particularly self-love. Like, that's just, it's not a microwave thing. It's a, you know, a slow roaster. Let's get that pot roast in there and wait 12 hours or 14 hours to get real good. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta be gentle with yourself. You gotta be patient with yourself, and you gotta accept that. Yeah, you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days, you're gonna have days where you're just like, I'm killing it. Boundaries done. And then that one person come and finagle, they found a hole, and you just be like, how did I end up here? How did I end up here?
Again.
Yeah, exactly. Forgive yourself and move on. Get back on track. Like, that's all right. That's how people make it, if you will. It's because they don't give up on themselves, even when they, you know, have a challenge day, a challenge time.
Challenge time. They have those sticky conversations.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, that has been such a big challenge for me. It gets better and better every time. And it legit is something that I've learned from you that you've definitely helped me with. Sometimes consciously, sometimes you don't even realize that you're doing it. But in terms of just having those boundary conversations and just putting myself first. And it's been such a game changer. And, you know, one thing that I want to just add on here is don't be afraid of the outcome, because if you're doing it with integrity with yourself and whoever it is that you're speaking to, you know, you have no malicious intent, I guarantee the outcome is going to be even better than you expected.
Or it's an unexpected one, right? You can't like live your life thinking for people. You know, it
Mm,
might be that that person might say something that is totally unexpected from what they've been giving you for the past 20 years, for example. You know what
mm-hmm.
I'm saying? You don't know where other people are in their own personal journeys as well. So you might be pleasantly surprised, or it might go as bad as you thought. And either way, you'll be okay. Like, either way, you'll be okay.
I love that
It's new
honesty.
information.
It might go as bad as you thought.
Because that's the fear part, right? That's the part that just supersedes and overrides everything to where you can't even think rationally about it because you're just caught up in this sort of fear cycle around. So I always, what works for me, I'll say for me, whenever I have a tough decision, I always go all the way to the left. What's the worst thing that could happen? The absolute worst thing. And then if I think through the solutions to the worst thing and I can deal with it, I go full steam ahead like nothing. That's how,
Mm.
like, And I do that with everything, every decision in my life. I think about the worst case scenario because the good, I already know the good. I know what it is. So I don't have to focus much on that. The good is not scary. The fearful part is scary for me. So I think through like, okay, the worst thing. If you could do with that, girl, then go on. Go on.
So I love the way you're like, okay, I'll think about the worst case scenario and I'll go for it. For me, I don't think about worst case. I'm just like, I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. It's like
Mhm.
I'm expecting the worst case. So I'm just getting ready for it. And I'm like, I'm comfortable. And then I get there and I'm like, oh, wait, that was not as bad as I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what usually happens, surprisingly. And so for me, that's the like kind of universe's way to tell you to just go, leap,
Mm,
go, do, because at the end of the day, you don't really have anything to be afraid of. And so that's a
mm.
beautiful thing when you get to experience that because it boosts your confidence 100% or whatever that
Whoop,
is.
whoop. I
Who
love that.
can take an extra dose of confidence?
Okay, so there's a question I wrote down, and I want to read it to make sure I say it right. Okay, so
Sure.
you're a woman, you're Black, and you live in a foreign country with very different laws to what you may have been used to. And also, I happen to know that you're in a very senior role and you're starting a business within sort of a new field for you. So, can you share
Yeah.
some advice on like navigating yourself in a new world, especially as a woman, especially being Black, especially as a foreigner, just, being different and trying to fit in and be happy at the same time?
I love this question so much. So I would say being different is like it's like that's the sauce you want. You want that I'm different, like that song. I'm different.
Different.
I'm
I'm
different.
different.
And it's like anywhere you go, it's not about fitting in. Like that is not the move. That is not the energy I'm bringing to the table. I'm not trying to fit in. I'm just trying to be me. I am me, not trying to be me. I am me. And so I've always loved putting myself into different or unique spaces and places, just because I feel like we live in a world, especially like as Americans, maybe as Brits, I don't know, but as Americans, we judging everything. Like you come,
Mm,
you walk in the door and you think you know who this person is, and they didn't say a word out of their mouths. All they did was come in. And I get that like the visual side of things gives a picture, it does. It gives you information, but it definitely isn't the whole picture. It definitely is not the whole picture. So, you know, when you enter into like new spaces or different spaces, it's important to like be centered and grounded, right? That whole part of like the self-love journey, the first sort of pillar is like knowing who you are. And if you know who you are and you have that with conviction, you're not going to be compromising your thoughts, your beliefs to appease someone else, right? So coming on this side of the world, which I live in the UAE, I'm in Abu Dhabi. I really didn't have to do anything but just be myself. And the beautiful thing about this country is that it's so safe. I feel like my kids are safe, my husband's safe. We don't get pulled over by the police. Granted, a lot of people think that I'm African because there are a lot of Africans here. And so, depending on that person's perspective of African, determines how they treat me. But then that lets me know what type of person that they are, good, bad, or indifferent. And so, I don't look at it as a negative because, my roots are African. So I'm always curious when people say, are you Ethiopian? I'm like, no. Like, are you from Nigeria? No, but I must look like I am because you're asking me. So I'm always, I accept and allow that because, I don't know my roots. I don't know exactly like where my family comes from. So it's always nice to hear that on this side of the world because I don't have that experience in America. So I say all of that to say, like, really, you get to be your wonderful, most fabulous self anywhere you go in the world, and how people see you or view you are their own hangups. It's like their own business. And like I really feel like I've been in great places and spaces where I've been able to kind of change people's minds about what they view around women or Black women or Americans. I'm able to sort of give them a different perspective. Why? Because they came into the situation thinking they knew what and who I was. And then I didn't fit that mold. And so they were like, wow, okay. But the work is then now thinking like, oh, this is not just Tequila, right? Tequila is not this just unique person, but every single person in the world is their unique self, and they don't necessarily fit the mold of what society is telling or asking of them. And so that's like kind of the beautiful thing of like going in different places and meeting people and getting to see, other people's perspective on women or Black women or Americans, and sort of debunking these beliefs, because I do believe we judge so easily, and it takes so much to kind of change people's minds. But I know that that has happened. I've done that for people, and people have done that for me. So I love experiencing that.
You're powerful for you to be like, I love that. I
Yeah,
really love it. People can learn so much from you, which I think is great. And so before we end this, I wanted to have a little bit of fun, Takima style,
love it. I love having fun.
because this is something that I got from you when you interviewed me from your podcast for your
Sharing is
podcast.
caring. Sharing is
Exactly.
caring. Yeah,
Exactly.
we love to care.
Okay, so pick a number from 1 to 27, between 1 and
11.
27. Oh, wow,
11.
that was quick.
Yeah, I knew it.
I don't like that question. We'll do another one afterwards.
Oh,
What is the worst purchase you've ever made?
worst purchase I've ever made.
Or something that you bought and you regretted, and why?
I don't really regret things.
I love that.
Oh, what is the worst purchase? Um, I can't really answer that question. I don't think any purchase. Maybe I bought too much articles of clothing at one time, but then I always give away, like, especially when I'm home, I give away things like every spring to my siblings or whomever. My mom has like tons of my old clothes and stuff like that. So I like having this, like, as my style changes, I like to like give stuff away so that I don't have so hoard so much, because I'm a hoarder. Like, I have jeans that probably like 10 years old because they're still like my style. So I keep things for a very, very long time. But then when it's like kind of not my style, I give it away. So maybe just like too much clothing and shoes, like, and stuff. Like, I used to be a shoe person, but now I'm just like, I'm chill. Like, I wear the same hoodie 100 days. Like, you'll probably see the next interview I do, I'm gonna be wearing this hoodie because I just love it so much.
You do wash it, right?
Yeah. You can't wash it every time. No, I don't wash it like every time I wear it, because I wear a shirt underneath this. So it's kind of like a jacket. You wash it
Okay.
every fifth time.
Okay. I just have this vision that you smell good, like Beyonce. To me, I'm like, Takima smells good. She looks good all the time. She's confident. The day I meet her, I'm just going to be hugging her for life.
Oh my goodness. Girl, you got to make sure you give me a call before you come, because sis, don't be, this is like the first time I actually put on some eyeliner in like maybe 2 months.
Takima.
Like, I'm doing the least right about now with COVID. It's like I'm doing the least right now.
All right.
I'm just giving
up. Okay, we'll allow that. Okay. One more question, which
sure.
I have. What if you were a cocktail, what would you be and why?
Ooh, that's a tough one. You're giving me tough questions.
You could make it up, but you have to tell us why you put those ingredients in that cocktail.
Oh my goodness. What is my favorite cocktail? I guess I would say, just to keep it simple, maybe a margarita, like the original flavor, not all this like passion fruit and all this other stuff. Just the normal margarita because
Is
it
that
has,
tequila based?
yes, I used to be called Tequila in middle school. They call me Tequila because my name is Tequila. See, like, so I was called Tequila all the time, and I didn't even know what tequila was when I was called Tequila. I had to read something because Google wasn't out then. But yeah, I just think tequila is like strong. It's straight to the point. Yeah, and then you have that like lime. It's like that zest and all that,
Zesty.
like, yes,
Sassy.
and sour. And then you add a little bit of triple sec that gives you like the sweetness, and it's a liqueur, so it's still got some alcohol in there. So it's like a, you know, and yeah, it's like a nice strong, but it's like it's not too like frou-frou with all the different sweets and stuff. It's just like straight up. Here you go.
It's to the point with a little bit of
Yeah,
sass.
yeah, that's me, girl. You just summed it up. There you go.
I love that. Can it be 12 o'clock already so I can have a cocktail?
Girl, it is 5 o'clock somewhere. I'm sure you can do you. No judgment. Okay.
I'll just be on Australia time.
Yeah. Because if you are on vacation, think about it. If you're on vacation, are you waiting to 12 o'clock to have the cocktail? I
No, I'm
don't.
probably having it
I
at
don't.
8 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly. You're starting breakfast with a mimosa. Okay. So today you want to have fun, have fun.
Okay, tick, done. Watch my stories.
Exactly. I can't wait.
All right. So Takima, before we end, where can they find you? And is there anything in particular that you're promoting at the moment that you want to shout out? The floor is yours.
I am promoting love. I am like wholeheartedly promoting love, and you can find all the love that you can stand on my IG. So that is TK Love and Lifestyle. All one word, TK Love and Lifestyle. And there you'll find all my links to my website. I do have a self-love guide to start your self-love journey. That's what you're looking to do. I have links to be able to book a discovery call if you're into self-love coaching and that's something you feel like you need. All the details are there on my IG. So just go on and follow me for just more love. Yeah.
Thank you. And I've heard your coaching is really good. I have seen it transform someone's life.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Takima. Thank you so much for being here. Do not hang up.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tanya. This has been a wonderful experience. I really appreciate you. And thank you.
Whoop, whoop.
Enjoy your cocktail.
I will.